My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, their songwriting techniques, and occasionally getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. Welcome to episode 200. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Chvrches. The Scottish electro-pop trio are revisiting our shores later this year to play Falls Festival in support of their brilliant fourth record, Screen Violence. In today's episode, we're speaking with frontwoman Lauren Mayberry about their songwriting techniques, what kind of horror movies she can withstand, and we discuss Australia's love affair with Chvrches. Here we go. Our guest today is the frontwoman and songwriter for one of the most popular electropop groups in the last 10 years. Having burst onto the scene almost 10 years ago with The Mother We Share, Chvrches released their brilliant fourth studio record last year entitled Screen Violence. Come December and January, they'll be playing at Falls Festival dates around Australia. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Lauren Mayberry from Chvrches. Hello, how are we?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you for asking. I feel like it's much earlier in the day for you than it is for me, so I feel breezy, all things considered.
Look, regardless of the time for us, when they say that Lauren from Chvrches is on the call, we get up whenever we need to. So again, I very much appreciate your time with us today.
Thank you. I feel like my mum paid you to say that or something, but I appreciate it.
Now, Lauren, you are on your way back to Australia in a number of months for Falls Festival, which I want to get into a little bit later. But just in terms of touring, I feel like from what I've seen, Chvrches and yourself, you've been on the road for most of this year, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we've been trying to play as many places as we can in the landscapes that there is, you know. But yeah, this is our first time back to Australia since COVID and on this album. So we're really excited because I feel like Australia feels like our kind of second home, like our spiritual home for sure, because we have so many friends based out there and our management company is Australian. So I feel like we've always been surfing the two time zones for the entirety of the band. And we always have such great shows there. People are so kind to us. So I'm excited that we get to do it. We were worried that we weren't going to be able to get back on this record, but we're coming. Falls Festival, we're going to be there.
We know a lot of people that are very excited about that. And I would agree. I feel that Chvrches almost seem like an adopted Australian band or group of ragtag musicians. There is a big love for Chvrches down here in Australia. Do you know, I know you just mentioned management, but I guess, is there anything else that you attribute to Australia's love of yourself and the boys in the band?
I don't know. I wonder. Yeah, I think it was one of the first places we got there, and I'd never been to Australia before the band, and I had no idea what to expect. I was like, what a lovely thing to get to invited to do, but probably no one will come to the shows. And the first shows we played in Australia were sold out, and it's been basically consistently that for the whole lifespan of the band, which is incredibly fortunate, and we're really grateful for that. But I don't know, I feel like maybe there's like a kinship in terms of like, I don't know, personality or ethos or something between Scotland and Australia. I feel like, yeah, an Aussie night out feels very similar to a Glaswegian night out, to be honest. So I have to be careful. I'm like, no, I'm working. I can't be this messy. But yeah, and I think we did Laneway pretty early in the band, and I think that it was such a mad year that we did that. It was like us and Hyam and Lord and Frightened Rabbit and all those guys on one tour, which in hindsight feels absolutely insane. But yeah, doing that so early, I think, really put us in a good spot for people to find out about the band. And yeah, you guys have much nicer weather than us as well, so we're always happy to come. Always happy.
It has been a little bit rainy as of late, but hopefully that weather does improve come the end of the year. I would agree. I think everyone I've spoken to, friends, colleagues, family, all seem to have a Chvrches laneway story, whether it be that first time round. If you would indulge me just for a minute or so, I have a laneway story with Chvrches where I went with my then girlfriend of, I think, about 2 weeks, and in 2016, and we went to see Chvrches. That was the one kind of band that was the crossover on both of our timetables, and I think it was clearest blue where we kind of realised that this relationship was working, and then earlier this year we got married. So I
take full credit.
Thank you. Yeah. I wanted to repay my due to yourself, to thank you for that.
Oh, but those stories are always so cool and so special because, I don't know, even though we've been a band for a decade now, which feels absolutely insane, like we all have those stories about bands that we love, and there's certain songs that when I see people play them, I will without fail sob uncontrollably or something like that. So yeah, it's really amazing to get to be part of those stories, and congratulations, well done. Love is not in fact dead. That album was a mistake.
Not at all. I've got the album sitting behind me, but I appreciate the sentiment. Do you yourself, Lauren, have a band or a song? I know you just said there's a few. Is there one that you could share with us?
Oh, I mean, I don't. Sometimes I worry that I'm like, I'm not emotionally stable, because certain lyrics, certain lines, or certain songs, like, cause you have the Death Cab vinyl behind you. I'm like, whenever I see Death Cab, if they play Transatlanticism, there's no coming back for me. It's over. Like, I am just full on Waterworks. And I noticed this in a couple of months ago, even though Folklore has been out for 2 years-ish, give or take, and without fail, I always get teary-eyed at the line, I knew you leaving like a father, running like water. And my mum and dad are still together, so there's no reason for me to be weeping at this, other than, I guess, extreme daydreaming or empathy. I don't know what it is, but I just think that line is so good, and the way that it's shaped on the melody, like it comes up at that moment, and she gets me. She gets me, Taylor. She always gets me with her sad ones. So
I feel like good, and no discredit to any other music, but I feel like good music has this power to kind of envelop you almost. And so, as you said, although your parents are still together, you can see yourself in that scenario, in that world that she's built.
Well, yeah, and she's such an amazing storyteller generally, and I think that's something, yeah, there's a lot of music I can appreciate, but I can't really love something unless it makes me feel something. Like, I think I don't really, for better or worse, I don't have a fun relationship with music. It's very fun insofar as the celebration of a live show, but when I think about if somebody was like, what are your favourite songs? What are the 5 songs you would listen to on your last day on Earth? They're all probably over-emotional in some way or another. So, chicken and egg. Are you sad because you listen to sad music, or vice versa? I don't know. But it feels comforting. Like, yeah, Cardigan makes me, like, happy sad, which I think is good.
Yes, I would agree. I think there's a power in the happy sad, and I don't want to delve too far into that, or else we'll kind of focus on that for the whole chat, and I don't want to do that.
We'll just be trading sad one-liners. Be like, remember this lyric? That one.
Exactly. I'll get emails being like, why did you and Lauren just talk about the 5 songs that will play when you guys die? And that was it.
Yeah, it's not really, it's a bit of a downer, but for another time. Maybe, like, yeah, when we're in Australia, we can have that conversation over, like, a wine or something.
That sounds brilliant.
Yes.
You are coming back to us, as we've mentioned, in support of Screen Violence, which is the 4th Chvrches studio record that is out. We've only recently, I think a month ago or so, celebrated the 1-year anniversary. Firstly, congratulations on this record, because it is a beautiful record.
Thank you, that's very nice of you. It's our little spooky 4th child.
We are coming up to Halloween, so it does almost seem kind of fitting that we do have you on the podcast. I guess to begin with, this record takes on I don't want to say, I feel like concept album sometimes can be greeted with a look, or that it's a dirty word. I don't feel that it's a concept album. I feel like it's a, let's say, pseudo concept, maybe like an adjacent concept album.
Yeah, I think so. Like, we definitely use all the horror themes and imagery, but the record itself isn't really about horror in the truest sense. I think it was fun for me to have different tools to work with and be like, this is the landscape that we're projecting the stories on, but the stories are still very personal. And I think I liked the knowingness, is that a word? The knowingness of that to me, a lot of it is about horrific things, or especially for women, things that I've experienced as a woman that have been horrific, but the album is not about horror necessarily. So it was fun to be able to play with those images and try and get a consistent thread throughout the album. And for the live show, it's been really fun because it's such a great pseudo concept to play out in a gig format, because you can really be as dramatic as you want, and that's kind of what a live show should be. I think it's been fun to really push the boat out on those things, and we've never really had that opportunity before on the other albums. So yeah, it's been good, clean, spooky fun.
I love that as maybe the tagline. When we do put the gig posters up around the cities of Australia, we should just have Chvrches and then down the bottom quoted, good, clean, spooky fun.
I mean, I would go, but I'm biased. But yeah, I think it's been fun. And it's been fun at these shows, especially to see people getting into the concept of it. Like, a lot of the time people will come in their favourite horror movie shirt, or they do kind of certain outfits or costumes, and there's a kind of fake blood theme through some of the... I don't want to give too much away before we play the shows, but some people come to the shows having done the kind of full Carrie thing, or they just do excellent glittery stage makeup, and to me that's such an amazing thing to get to see, because I didn't ever think we would be in a band where people felt like that about it, where you can be free and not, I don't know, dorky as you like, but whatever you like. And I think, yeah, life's really lonely, man. So if it can be less lonely for an hour and 30 minutes, then that's quite nice, I think. So
100%.
Yeah.
That sense of community, I think, is brilliant. And from what I've seen, again, not giving away anything, the footage and videos and images from some of these other shows in the US and Europe, it does look like everyone is kind of partaking in the concept of the whole package of this record. I do want to get to the songwriting of the record in a second, but I was wondering if you'd indulge me. From what I heard is that there's a little bit of an obsession with horror movies, but that you're not particularly great with them.
Yes, it's a strange emotional torment I put on myself, especially as I've gotten older. I think when I was 16, I was still really very anxious. But I think, I don't know. I think if you're lucky enough to not have been around certain experiences at that point in time, you have this kind of youthful arrogance of immortality or something. So I was definitely afraid of it, but it didn't. Death as a concept seemed more abstract in that way that it doesn't now that we've all lived a bit more life. But yeah, I feel like, and I watched a lot of horror movies in the writing of the record to try and find ideas and imagery and things like that, and it was horrendous. It was horrendous because I'm deeply afraid of everything. Like, I watched a lot of them in lockdown with my partner, and he can eat dinner watching them. He falls asleep during them habitually. I don't have that. Like, I think we were talking about it once, and he said he thinks it's because I have a very active imagination, which is good for writing, but bad in all other ways. But because I just think about things, and I think a lot of horror and the way that women are talked about in horror is an allegory, sort of. And I think that picking up on those things was important for the writing of the album, I think. But I don't think that watching all the Paranormal Activities helped me with my writing in any way. But it just traumatized me. So,
yeah.
Yes.
I would agree. When it comes to Paranormal Activity or like supernatural horror, I'm out of the room. I'll take like a Friday the 13th or even Scream for like people of our generation. But yeah, Paranormal Activity, no thank you.
Yes, like slasher stuff. I think Scream is probably one of my favourite horror movies, and I think it is because it plays with a lot of those ideas. And I definitely cover my eyes, and I'm horrified by those kind of violent moments. But it doesn't. I don't generally believe that Ghostface is going to pop up at my window, and I don't fear things in that way. But then if it's psychological or I don't know, things that are left possession, any movie with possession nope. I'm going to think about that for months solidly. Can't do that. No. So, and I don't know. I think, especially like, was reading a lot about like the feminist take on horror, or the female gaze and the female lens on it. And I think apparently a lot of the time when women like, I'm not explaining this very well, but a large audience of horror is female, and we're like, well, why would you want to watch that? Because so terrible things are happening to women on screen. And I think a lot of it, for me anyway, was feeling like you're less insane for being afraid of things, because I think that as a woman, there's instinctive things that you know to be afraid of. Like, nobody ever said to me, make sure you have your keys out before you get to your door, don't stop in a taxi outside your house. Like, just things that you know how to do. Like, no male friend I have ever shares their Uber location with their friend, and every female friend I have does that. So just things that we know instinctively. We just know instinctively the world is a scarier place for us, I think. And seeing that played out on screens sometimes I think is reassuring, because it, even though it's a fiction, it still makes you feel more grounded in what your reality is, if that makes sense. I don't know. That's what I've told myself I get out of it. I don't know.
I would agree, and obviously it's difficult for me to say this from a male perspective, because I haven't lived that female perspective. But from what I understand, it is that you're able to it's a reassurance of like, this is the reason why we do these things, because somewhere this does exist. It's not every day, but it is reality somewhere, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think in something like Scream, you're like, the killer's always the boyfriend. And in real life, like, that's something that women think about a lot. Like, most violence that's done against women is intimate partner violence. And, you know, so there are like, you're taking things from real life and putting them through a fictional lens. But when I watch them, I see things. It's not just a 90-minute film and you leave it. There are those bookmarks of real experience in there, I guess. Yeah, but I can't do too much of it. I don't want to be too justified and just terrified all the time. So
I think that's smart. There is a balance to be had with the songwriting for this record, as I understand, was that yourself and the guys wrote a number of these songs, and then
this summer, Instacart presents famous summer flavors coming to your front door. Or pool. Or hotel.
Your grocery delivery has arrived, sir.
That was faster than room service.
No violins in the lobby.
Oh, seriously? Anyway, sit back, relax, and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Starring your favorite snacks, drinks, and more. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Rated H for hungry audiences. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Afterwards, or maybe with the benefit of hindsight, were able to work out not exactly what you had written about, but when you revisited some of the songs after writing them, kind of really were able to see with clarity that you were writing about some more kind of serious topics. And I'm curious of whether, I guess, even when you were starting to write these, and I know you said you were kind of going through different horror movies to see themes, different kind of imagery, whether, I guess, you realised the weight of what was being said in some of these songs when the inception of them were happening, or whether it was when you listened to the full body of work that you kind of went, holy pardon my language, holy shit, this is what we're actually saying?
I think the theme sort of revealed itself as time was going on. Like, we had the title, and I think at the start of it I thought most of it would be like really, really concept heavy, because at that time also I don't want to write about myself. I don't want to talk about any of these things. I want to be left alone, and that's kind of a bad place to come at something as a writer, I guess, or for me anyway. But when I look at it, I'm like, the songs that we managed to write before lockdown happened were the songs that are the least concept heavy. So it was like He Said, She Said, and Good Girls, I think, were the two that were like fully had lyrics on, had everything. And we had the demo for How Not to Drown, but there weren't fully lyrics on it yet. So a lot of the digging into the horror as a metaphor or whatever, that all happened in lockdown time. And I think it's been a good lesson for me, I suppose, that I can come up with initial ideas in a room, but I do kind of need the space from something to sit and turn it over and get to, I don't know, just kind of whittle away at something until you find what you're actually trying to say. And I think if this album had been written in the way that we'd done the previous records, where I take like an afternoon of space in the other room and then come back to record it, I don't think we would have gotten the same emotional intensity or vulnerability or something in the lyrics. So it turns out being shut in a house by yourself for several months is kind of an accidentally good writing exercise, for better or worse, I think.
From what I understand is that this album and the fact that the three of you were separated, if I understand correctly, I think Ian was still in Glasgow and you and Martin were in LA, but in separate properties or houses.
Yes.
With having written separately for the first time, do you think that this is a concept that will, I guess a songwriting practice that will continue moving forward now that kind of glass has been broken?
I don't know. I think I would definitely take away from it that it's not bad for me to want space to dig into certain things. And I think previously I would have felt uncomfortable about that or guilty about that. Like, I'm holding up the process and the guys work really fast and I'm getting in the way, so I need to come up with something now. And to me, I'm like, that was a lesson in it takes as long as it takes. And if the end product is better for it, then that's worthwhile. I shouldn't be worrying about what other people are thinking about it while I'm doing it. But I think if the guys had to work like that again, I think there would be murder if they had to do that, because it's so much more difficult for them with the trying to figure out audio movers, and it's hard to write music over Zoom and stuff. I think like lyrics, I kind of just put myself on mute and mind my business. So it's kind of the same for me in different situations, but it's much harder to get that initial spark of an idea in a musical sense, I think, to get the initial excitement. It's just, in the same way with anything, you can hang out with your friend on Zoom and it just doesn't have that extra 20% energy that it does in real life. So, Yes, I think we will keep the good parts and leave the bad parts, hopefully.
No, look, I think that the one thing about COVID and what we've been speaking to artists about is that if you can find any kind of silver lining in it, then that is a good thing. Whatever lessons can be learned is obviously a good thing, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it feels, for me anyway, I think it was I don't know, I don't want to say anything was fortuitous about it, but it was fortuitous timing insofar as I think it was the enforced reflective moment that we probably needed, that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And I don't know, I think when you're in this kind of juggernaut of album cycles and campaigns and blah, 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 like there is so much time pressure, or don't miss this opportunity, don't miss this boat. And, you got to make sure, like, you can make whatever album you want, but make sure there's a radio single on it. And I feel like it's important to be aware of that stuff, I guess, but I think I'd come out of a time period where I was really disillusioned with all that stuff. And I think if we hadn't been locked in our houses, unable to get out, maybe we would have continued down that road, because that's the road that is recommended to you all the time. And then to me, I just kind of got to a point where I was like, you only really get to do any of this once. What's the point in not doing something that you really feel? Yeah, it was a good moment to reflect on what you really feel that you want to say and what you want to do, and what do you want what you're making to represent, sort of, I guess. Because nobody's necessarily going to remember whether it was on a radio playlist for 2 weeks or not. Unless if it's massive and it's on the radio all the time, then people will remember. But you know what I mean? I feel like we're kind of in that middle space where we're not Coldplay, but we're not completely unknown. So it's like, what do you want to do with that space when you have it? I think, especially for a lyricist, like you are the front person of the band, literally, and otherwise you're the mouthpiece. So I was like, what do I want to do with this mouth? I guess.
Do you remember, I guess, because I feel like Chvrches always has been a band who, and I want to make sure I kind of word this correctly, but I feel that Chvrches has always been a band that has had something to say but still been able to deliver it in such a way that is not... I feel like it's always extremely subtle. It's not in your face. It's still very powerful, and that it's got this beautiful balance of that you're not kind of singing repetitive kind of words, that there is this story behind what is going on, and that you've always done that quite well. So firstly, I just wanted to say that to you.
Thank you.
Why not? One of my favourite lyricists in front of me, I'm going to take that opportunity. But I was curious, do you remember your first interactions with songwriting or writing lyrics, or it might have even been poetry?
Yeah, I think I used to, like when I was a kid, like a teens, I would write down just really crap poems, I think. And then when I was in bands, even if I wasn't singing, I would always contribute to the lyrics. And I think that to me has always been the kind of crux of what I love about songs. Like I'm a lyrics bitch at the end of the day, you know? Like I can really love everything about a song, and if the lyrics are just like, okay, or I don't really, I don't know, if a song has like a mediocre all right lyric and the rest of it's amazing, then it's just not gonna, I don't know, doesn't really resonate with me for a prolonged period of time. So yeah, and I think the stuff that I'm most proud of that we've done is something that, you know, it can still be hooky, and it can still be really lovingly pop, if that makes sense. But it doesn't mean that it needs to be dumb. And I love a good, there's so many dumb pop, quote unquote dumb pop songs that I love, but I feel like when I've tried to do that, it doesn't land as well necessarily. So I think pushing yourself to write something you think people will write never goes that well. I don't think. But yeah, I don't know.
It is a beautiful mystery that I kind of love about music just in general, but again, with yourselves in Chvrches, I think that there is a powerful, I don't even know what the word is. There's something powerful at play when it does come to the music of Chvrches, but we very much appreciate it, and that you guys are putting it out there. As we've mentioned, this whole conversation, you are coming back to Australia. In terms of these live shows, I know we've already given the tagline clean, spooky, fun, but what can people expect in terms of coming to see you at the festival? I guess, are we going heavy with screen violence? Can people expect some of their favourite bangers from Every Open Eye, from Love Is Dead, from that first record, from Bones? Yeah,
like I think the aesthetic we've definitely built around screen violence, but we're always really conscious of making sure we play a good cross-section of things from each record. And yeah, I don't think we're ever going to be that band that's like, we're playing nothing but the new album, because every musician likes what they've just made the best because it's exciting and new. But I hate it when you go to shows and you're like, please just play the one from before as well as all the new stuff. So yes, I feel like we've made quite a good mixtape type set list, I think, so there'll be all the eras are covered, which will be very fun, I think.
Beautiful. That's beautiful to hear. I guess from those past eras, do you have a track or tracks that kind of stand out that you love to revisit, that when it does pop up on the set list, that there's a moment of enjoyment for yourself?
I feel like Every Open Eye, the second record, felt like a kind of turning point for me personally, because that's the first album that I got to write all the lyrics on, The first album, I think there was a couple of songs that Ian and Martin had written lyrics on before I joined the band. So, it was a lot. I felt like it was a lot of pressure, for me in that moment. But then I remember getting the lyrics to Leave a Trace, and I was like, yes, okay, I think that this is a good path to be on. And that song, I'm like, feel like it's really grown with the band as we've gotten older, as some of our fans have gotten older. The second verse, people go a bit feral in the second verse. And Clear as Blue, like that song just took on a life of its own. Like it was never really supposed to be a single. It was one of those like instant grat tracks when those were a thing. And it only became a single because people responded to it so amazingly at shows. And in the last year, like it's had a sync in that show Heartstopper, and that's just given it a whole new lease of life. And I feel like it was always like a celebratory part of the set, but I think now it's just the crackers. It's just that, but times 100. And that, it feels really wonderful to be part of a thing that makes people feel joyful, especially since a lot of the lyrics are more melancholy. I think it's nice to have that balance between the introspection and the release, I think. So it's lovely to get to be a part of that.
100%. I think that, I know we've been talking about songwriting throughout this conversation, but there is, again, something magical about almost the juxtaposition of sad lyrics and happy music that seem to blend well. And I think that that's where some of the best music from Chvrches and other bands outside of that have come from. Lastly, Lauren, we would usually talk to our guests about what they're currently listening to, if there's anything that's currently on high rotation for yourself.
Ooh, well, I've been listening a lot to the new Florence and the Machine album because I'm going to see her this weekend. So I was like, just got to bone up, just got to brush up and make sure. And I'm really excited to see that show. Like, sometimes I hate seeing spoilers of gigs on Instagram and stuff when you see I'm like, no, I don't want to see all the production. But the bits I've seen of it look amazing. And she's obviously such a phenomenal performer. So I've just been shuffling the Florence back catalogue at this point.
That is a very solid choice. Lauren, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today. I do appreciate it. We're very excited to see you at Falls and all the other festivals later in the year. But congratulations on Screen Violence. But thank you for coming onto the pod.
Yay, thank you for having us. And we'll see you in the new year.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Lauren Mayberry for her time. Screen Violence is out now, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to purchase the record or purchase tickets to see them at Falls Festival. We also want to give a huge shout out to Gerry at Scrabble PR for helping out with today's interview. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Wednesday and Friday morning, and we now have a Patreon, which you can find within the show notes of this episode. You can follow the Players profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.
The most powerful designer drugs are the digital ones we use daily. And we get high off them. When touch, tap, like, scroll at a time. You know, just like tech creators want us to. Use digital without digital using you. Learn more at sync.ithra.com.